Hey everybody! Welcome to the Energy Healing Lifestyle Journal, Self-Care Challenge Day 39. Today we are talking about obviously self-care, right? So to be aware of ourselves, assess where we're at, and if we're not already into alignment, what are some action steps we can take to get into an alignment? And just what came up in that exact very moment is to also mention sometimes the action step is getting still, right? Giving ourselves permission to feel what we're feeling, allowing ourselves to hold that space for ourselves to feel whatever it is that we are feeling in that very moment. Again, as I mentioned yesterday, we just don't want to get stuck there, right? No getting stuck. So, although oftentimes when we think of those action steps, we think of those leaps and bounds forward, right? Charge ahead. Well, sometimes we do. And again, sometimes it's just the action is giving ourselves permission. The action is sitting still. The action is feeling, right? Again, that saying of feel it to heal it. So our acronym today of self-care, the letter F, we're on the letter F, and F is for forgiveness. So that includes ourselves and others, right? So forgiveness can be a very tricky thing. But what also came in as I was doing my journaling today was Ho'oponopono. So let me know if you're familiar. Hey, Iona, I know you are. Let me know if you're familiar with Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian. There's more to it than this. However, the short version, it's a Hawaiian prayer, and it really deals with the forgiveness, right? So let me pull up the comments. Iona says, "Hey, love. Hey, beautiful." Iona says, "Feel it to heal it." Absolutely. I'm not sure who coined that phrase, but I love it and I want to share it. And as a reminder to myself and everyone else, right? Feel it to heal it because avoiding it just doesn't work. But again, we're not getting stuck. So Ho'oponopono I thought was really perfect that it, came up in my awareness again today. Now I've gone through, trainings for Ho'oponopono to be a practitioner. And it's one of those tools that we learn that we don't always pull in and incorporate, right? That we don't always use. And then there comes a time like today that says, hello, and I have not been using me lately. And that's not fully true. Like I do use it. There's moments of, but Iona teaches the intentional living codes, right? And I am pulling this in for a reason. So in the intentional living codes, literally that, doing things with that intention. So now that it's in my awareness and I can remind myself each and every, if not every day, at least on Thursdays, right? When we talk about forgiveness in our self-care challenge and reflecting within ourselves, what's lingering. Remember, forgiveness is not a free pass for people to continue icky behavior. Forgiveness is not a free pass for ourselves to continue icky behavior either, right? But forgiveness is a way to clean the energy, to release the baggage, to release the burden that we are the only ones carrying when we don't forgive, when we hold resentments, right? It hurts us right here. So allowing that space, and it's that action we can take to assist in that, right? Let me come back to the comments for a moment. Iona says, love Ho'oponopono and our Power of Three team. Love it. Exactly. I do too. I think the spiritual ascension after show. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Iona says, I have the trainings. I do use it. I remember you speaking of it. And like you say, there was those moments, right? But I haven't intentionally pulled it into like my daily journaling or even my weekly reflections. And I think Thursday is perfect to pull that in as that reminder, again, every single day. However, that weekly check in, because for self care, I use forgiveness, and that's part of the acronym for today, right? The F in self of self care is literally for our forgiveness. Anna says, oh, forgiveness came in today that I didn't even realize. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. I mean, me, you, and Ramona. For the after show? Or am I twisting things? Which I do sometimes. It's okay. You know, it's funny, and I know you know this, Iona, when we do these, it's like when you're live, it's very different to read a text, right? So like a comment or just like on a phone or a text message or a message on another app or whatever, and you're trying to piece in the tones and whatnot that come along with it. And sometimes my brain does not make the full connection. And it says, when I meditate, I use it daily during my meditation. I don't know, another mantra. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, for the after show and Ho'oponopono. Oh, yeah. I love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. I do love that. So, and best you, right? So, to keep connecting these pieces, on today, we cover the heart chakra. So, in the heart chakra, I talk about, I know I'm not standing or anything, but if you imagine a figure eight, right? So, the energy is going up and down and all over the place, but however, up, down, and around. So from the heart space down, we have our lower vibrational chakras, which I often call like humanness or ego, right? But it's just a lower vibration. And from the heart space up is our higher vibrational chakras, right? But they pass and intersect or bridge, or there's different terms that people use, but it crosses whatever. It meets, I like to actually say unify, it unifies in the heart space. Our human energy comes up, God, source, creator, spirit energy comes in, and it meets and unifies in the heart space. However, sometimes we don't exactly meet that unification with open arms, so to speak. So, with that love and compassion and forgiveness, right, is coming in to allow that space, but in our humanness, it doesn't always allow it, right? It's like, nah, I'm not done beating myself up yet, so I'm just going to dip back down here into this icky energy and keep that cycles, those patterns that we talked about yesterday, continuing on, right? But it's always brought in to offer that love and forgiveness for us. And it's just up to us whether we transform that energy or not, or transmute it or not. So, in my acronym of BEST YOU, the T for today stands for transformation, right? The transformation occurs in the heart space because of that connection, that unification, or at least that's the opportunity for it to occur, right? We have decisions we get to choose in every moment. So we either allow it or we don't. We allow it or we resist it, right? So it unifies, it clears the energy. So now the energy that's moving through is either cleaner, clearer, and flows as it should, or again, we still meet it with we have some resistance or, another lesson we have to learn. It's not ready yet for whatever our human reason is, right? No blame, shame, and guilt. It just is. It's part of that healing process. So then it dips back down. It's like, nah, see, maybe next time, right? Maybe next time we'll meet again. I'm being silly, but trying to pull a visual, right? Trying to put it in a story format. And Iona, thank you for sharing too today and how you see it. Because I know, like, when I do these lives, you only see basically heart chakra up, right? And Iona today also talks about our environment. And as she said, I do. I talk about the environment starts here within, right? And I do this not even realizing physically that I'm pointing at the heart chakra, but I actually do mean the whole physical body. Like it starts with us, whatever. So it's all of us. So all of our chakras and all of our physical and our mental and like all the aspects of ourselves. But it does start with us. It starts within. And whatever is going on inside is what we project out, right? So I know Iona teaches too about your physical environment as well. So as you look around, you feel like you have freedom within the physical environment. And you can tell when you have something going on the inside because it reflects out on the outside. And I start to notice, like even in this, this space in my mom's, the bedroom and whatnot, I can start to see as things are looking a bit cluttery for me. So yes, one, I need to clean the room, clean up and reorganize. It's the part of that shifting of seasons. I didn't even think about this till now. It's like clicking even that within, right? So bringing the awareness of the without, the outside to the inside. So that shifting of seasons from summer to autumn or summer to fall, right? So temperatures change. So then there's like this double of, say, just clothing even, right? Got to have some t-shirts for the mid part of day when it's warmer and then, or yeah, warmer. And then I need some like sweaters and warmer clothings of the day for the early and latter part because it gets cooler. So it's like you have the double of things doubling up just for the seasons as the seasons change. But that reflects within as well, right? So what kind of things do we go through when our own seasons are changing? when our own energy is changing, when that transformation is occurring. Another example would be that spiritual awakening, right? We talk about how Iona calls it rude. It can be so rude, and it can, but that's part of that season changing in a sense, right? So we have those spiritual detoxes or energetic detoxes, and as we shift and clear, sometimes it can feel icky and it can be challenging. It can be difficult. Butterflies coming out of their chrysalis, right? It's like gets tight and uncomfortable, and you got to wiggle your way out, and it can feel icky, and that's okay, but it's part of the change. So just being that mindful as well, looking within and then out and looking outward when if maybe we're missing what's going in, right? I've mentioned that Johari window sometimes, what's in our subconscious, the things that we're not even aware of. But when we look out and we see as like having that perspective, I'm looking around to see, to increase my awareness for that reflection within. What am I seeing on the outside? I can see some things need to be cleaned up, right? Well, what does that say? Let's clean up here too. It's part of, again, it's just part of that transformation. It's a beautiful process, and no blame, shame, and guilt for the parts that we don't necessarily like about that process as it occurs, right? Let me come back to comments. Thank you for letting me go on that rant. Let me see, where did I leave off? Was it here? Nope, I got that one. The after show, I got that one. Here we go. Iona says, so true. You do so well with my typos. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, unifies in the heart space. LOL. No open arms. No open arms? Yep, right. Like sometimes. Sometimes it is, and then there's other times like not yet. Maybe next time. When the human egoness is like, not letting go yet. I'm keeping a hold of that. I'm still trying to control this one. Thanks. Maybe next time. That's the other thing, right? That just came in as well, that letting go. That's part of what forgiveness helps us do is let go. We literally can let things go. Sometimes a human's just not ready. But we're not going to fight it. We're going to hold space for it because it's going to come back up again and have a whole new opportunity, right? So we just take it as it comes. Iona says, so again, when it's my monthly human cycle, it brings me into lower vibrations. I know it does. And then I forget what that is. It does, right? And it's just part of the cycle. It's just part of the process, the parts that we see and the connections we make and when we make them. Some of this that just a quick reflection. What I wrote in my journal this morning is slightly different than what I'm sharing now, right? So things just come in. The energy starts to flow, or it gets stuck, or it's showing. You've shared. I think it's okay that I share this. You have shared before that sometimes, at least sometimes, and I can relate with this as well when I had a different experience in my hormones and cycles because they change after, life cycles change. There are still changes in my hormones. It's just in a different way, or it affects me differently as it did before. And I don't have some of those direct cues, physical cues to say, yep, that was it. And this is time, right? But there are still phases and changes in the hormones. So being mindful of that as well. Um, But sometimes what comes up when we dip in that low is something that was stuck in our energy anyway, right? So then it comes up like, okay, it's coming up hard and strong now to really be seen. And then we can choose how we need to. I think that's the tricky part is the how to then go ahead and clear it. Because when we feel, um, I know for myself, I'd shared that I would get in that like rage. Excuse me. So when we feel that intense type of low vibe rage building, then how we end up clearing it isn't so pretty. Right? Like, at least it wasn't for me. Iona says exactly. It starts with us. Yeah, right. And I was so glad to hear you say that today, because so that I could also be clear when I say mine. Because you're right. It is the head. It is the throat. It is the heart. It is the stomach. It is all of it. It's the emotions. It's the beliefs. It's all of it. Right? It's not just one. It is all of us. Our soul, our spirit is lugging around the energetic soul. And the energetic soul, these are the words I use. I learned the other day someone uses a different format of words to differentiate, which is fine as long as we are, I just mean this generally speaking. It's fine as long as, as we go through our journey, we have an understanding of the process. And even we don't always have to, but I think for me and my people, I'm sure it's helpful if we do because we like to know things, right? But then our soul is lugging around this physical body. So it's all of this thing, right? All of this human body. Some call it a meat suit, whatever it may be, but that starts there. Iona says the physical environment is the best vision board. It really is, right? Because it lets us know if there's contrast, if there's things we want to change. It lets us see the parts that we really like and want to continue or have more of, right? Iona says, yep, I did that today. Room done. Check. Awesome. And cleaned over here in London and winter coats out. I know. I don't want to talk about winter coats coming out yet, okay? No, just kidding. Oops, sorry. But yeah, that's awesome. I know, and I think some of my inner, I don't really want to call it chaos. It doesn't feel chaos or chaotic, but it does feel unorganized, like the in between. Not, and I know some of it is just preparing for my procedure tomorrow. So, like, I wasn't thinking about, oh, I need more soft foods in the house because I don't know how long it'll be before I can eat solid foods, right? So, I had to go, Mel and I ran some errands today and just trying to prep. Like, what do I want to make in advance? Because the first couple days, from what I'm hearing, excuse me, might not be feeling so great. So I don't want to put myself in a position where I have to do a whole bunch of things when I'm not feeling great, right? Like I want to be gentle with myself, self-care, be prepared. And then yeah, I kind of did a quick kick in the butt of myself today for waiting till today to figure all that out. But that's okay. It's all coming together. But again, that it's not chaos, but it's unorganized. And it's like, oh, I need to get these things taken care of. So that I could see that reflecting back to me. Ionis is so rude, isn't it though? It's awakenings, my goodness. Ionis says rant accepted. LOL, heard loud and clear. Thank you, ma'am. Love that let go. I know, right? And it made so much sense because excuse me, even though I wasn't saying the words before, the forgiveness part, it's part of the whole process of forgiving. I'm getting that warmness, right? Holding that space to feel it, to heal it. As we hold that space, meeting it with love and compassion, right? People talk about killing the ego, and I really get that vision of like, ugh, it's not going to do us any good. It's just going to create more contrast and conflict within ourselves and more blame, shame, and guilt because we'll think we killed it, and here it is, accepting that there are layers, and again, allowing these things to surface. Have that forgiveness for self and others to release it. And releasing is letting go, right? And I caution people, and some people say, well, I let that go. So I found in myself, now I'm reflecting again quickly, not recently, which is amazing. I'm so happy. But I remember going through a whole phase where it was like, oh, snap. I realized that I went through a process, I let it go, and then my humanness pulled it right back. And what do I mean by that is I rethink about it, right? So I journal or I do my healing process, I'm releasing, I'm letting go, but then I take time to rebuild that energy again, right? Doesn't mean you can't ever address it or be aware if another layer of it is there or have a conversation because we talk about past experiences. But I did it in the way to recreate it, to pull it all the way back. I didn't just say, oh, yeah, here's an in reflection and I'm aware of it. I was like, and then, and then, and then, and now what am I going to do? And now I'm back at trying to control that situation again, right? So letting go and releasing is to actually allow it to stay gone, not pulling it back in with our human thought processes, right? How interesting these things come back in. It's really cool about doing these lives, to be fair. And I don't, again, not realize it until you actually get to do it. So, which is why Iona encourages in her model that as we walk our talk, we do this, right? We show up for ourselves and we show up for others, literally on the daily, because things come in. Iona says, oh, before I forget, good luck with your tooth tomorrow. Thank you. I do appreciate that. I've been working through, again, nervousness, right? So not calling in the full anxiety, but I can feel it wanting to creep in. And then I hear people's stories. I'm like, yeah, that was real helpful. Thanks. Wasn't, no. You helped my anxiety. You didn't help me to get through it. Anna says, yeah, share away. I don't mind. I share it all the time. Thank you. And I was like, I'm pretty sure you shared it on live, which is when I heard it. Like, I'm trying to test to see, did I hear it on your live? So it was public, or was it in a back channel conversation, which is more private? And I would respect your privacy then, obviously. But yeah, I think it was something you kind of shared live, and I could relate anyway. So if I flip it around in my own story, then forgiveness feels harder. It does, doesn't it? It does feel harder than that because there's this program, or we are conditioned to believe, right? All those conditions to believe what it means. We've like redefined what forgiveness is, and then that is what makes it hard. But if we can remind ourselves what the actual meaning of forgiveness is and what actually happens when we allow forgiveness to occur, then it gets a little bit easier. And again, Matt Kahn, from my own perspective, lightened that a little bit more when he said, "Can you, if you can't be the forgiver, can you just allow forgiveness to occur?" Right? So in that sense of, give it to God kind of thing, that letting go, just releasing it, can you just open a space, just allow it to occur? Like, I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it, but I'll ask, God, source, creator, universe, angels, spirit guides, whatever, names and relationships you have with the highest. Here you go, it's yours, you do it. I'm not, but I can allow. And that in itself is giving action, that's taking a step to allow that forgiveness to occur, right? We don't have to be the forgiver, but we don't want to be the blocker either, the consistent blocker that says, nope, I refuse to forgive because I'm going to continuously carry this burden with me and you can't stop me, kind of thing, right? It's funny when you twist the words around to then hear it. It's funny to me anyway. Anna says it's not pretty always. Definitely not. Yep, I am your people. I get it, soul. Thank you, love. I hear you. I know it. It's nice to have people get you. I know we don't have to, but it really is nice to not have to do things alone or to feel like you're just a complete misfit, right? Again, definitions of how I felt being a misfit was in my younger days, felt very different than how I feel about it now. Now I'll wear it like a badge. I don't mind. I'm kind of honored. Not even kind of, I'm quite honored. Definitely be gentle. Absolutely. Right? Thank you for laughing with me. 1818. Fantastic. Iona says the rethink and get sucked back in. Yeah, we got to watch that, right? There's those fine lines. Like, we don't want to avoid because avoiding just allows it to sit and get stuck and continuously build more gunk in our energy field, which then just keeps coming up in our face, right? Like through those triggers. So we don't want to avoid or try to trick ourselves into believing that something is gone that isn't. We don't want to deny it. But yeah, holding space to allow something to be, to meet it with love and compassion, to allow it to release as it's ready is very, very different than avoidance or the sucked in, right? But it's a dance. I had to think. You use this term and that it is a dance to kind of feel into both, right? To be in that space and not go too far one way or the other, to not go too far to the avoidance or too far to the quicksand. It's kind of what it feels like. Yep, gone. Exactly. It is cool. I think so. Iona says, yep, walk your talk and do that thing. Keeping it clean, right? I think it's Spotify. Like, is there any, I don't remember what words it uses, but it's like profanity or something like that. And I'm like, nope, trying to keep it clean. Iona says, I typed that before you mentioned your two. Thank you. Thank you. I know I had these sitting for a while, so I apologize for taking a minute to come to your comments. Hang on. I'm going to hop off. My mom's thing's going off. I'm sure she's fine, but I'm going to have to address it or they'll show up here. Love you. Bye.